Welcome to Mom of Eight Momversations. We are so grateful for the Win-Win Women platform and the behind the scenes friends making it all work smoothly so we women can gather to care, connect, and collaborate. Truly a win-win for us all. I'm your hostess, Reagan Barnes, mom of eight and founder of Mom of Eight. We are a nonprofit organization that empowers you to elevate your mothering experience. Also joining us today is Michelle Denboer, the mom to moms. And you, mom, you are joining us, and we are so glad to have all of you. We welcome you into our Mom of Eight community, or Mom Unity, as we like to say. We are moms united in our passion to create a better world for our children, with our children, and through our children. Join us and become a Mom Unity member. It's free on our website, momof8.org. And when you join our Mom Unity, we'll send you a free digital copy of our Smile Journal, where you can keep track of what you learn from each of these Momversations and set goals to impact your personal achievement based on this educational program. So let's get this Momversation started. Here at Mom of Eight, we answer the question, what do moms do? With this uplifting statement: moms raise up society. That's right, not just our own kids, but all of society, including ourselves. This acronym is jam-packed with the far-reaching impact of intentional mothers who strive to improve and progress in these areas of motherhood. We're not just chauffeurs and short-order cooks. As we repeatedly do bedtime routine and load after load of laundry, it makes an impact that goes beyond our homes. Because as moms, we are uniquely positioned to influence society one-on-one as we take on that repetitive, loving work that shapes our children, and it shapes us too. Today, with our special guest, Michelle, we're going to focus on the category of relationships and dig into a specific subcategory of relationships, those that we have with the village. Unquestionably, we are the biggest influence on our children, for better or for worse. And simultaneously, our children have various other influences that we collectively call the village. This might be teachers, therapists, the pediatrician, coaches, like for our athletic kids, church leaders, or the parents of our kids' friends. If they're old enough to have a job, it might be their boss. Essentially, we recognize these people for how they're invested in our children. And it is so beneficial if we can have open lines of communication with them. There is also the aspect of other mothers, and we briefly talked about that in our show last week, but that is part of our village as well. As moms, we need one another, and that is definitely an important part of our village. So Michelle, if you'll take some time, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your mothering experience.
Hi, I am Michelle Denboer, and I am the mom to moms. So I am so blessed to have a 25-year-old, and I have a 10-year-old. He just recently turned 10 on Valentine's Day. So you might hear me say 9, you might hear me say 10. Sometimes it's hard to let them grow up. But yeah, it's been interesting because that 13-year gap really makes a big difference. And it makes a difference in your village and what your village looks like.
That's, yeah. Now, tell us a little bit about how you got the title, the Mom to Moms.
So, oh my goodness, how did I get that title? Basically, with my 10-year-old, I call him the little prince, if you follow on Facebook or any of that kind of stuff. I had such a village that was amazing. And I realized that you don't always have a village, or your village might be small. Everybody's village looks different. But when I had mine, my 25-year-old, it was so much different. And I was like, every mom needs this. Why don't we all have a village? And so at that time, I decided I was going to create it and become the mom to moms, because I'm going to share everything that I have and create a hub for those moms.
Oh, I love that. That there is either the opportunity to just kind of be looking around, like, where is my village? Or there's the opportunity to create one. And I think that's a very empowering thought. And that's the action you decided to take, was go ahead and create it. And then you're blessing those women who are just looking around and wondering, where is my village? So I'm excited to announce that you are joining Mamavate's team of
Yes.
volunteers, that you'll be our relationships council mom. And I think that is a beautiful way to combine our mom unity with your village. And you'll be helping us put together our curriculum that Mamavators will teach. Once we have that program in place, we are a new nonprofit and always looking for ways to expand our offerings as funding comes available. But also, since we are 100% volunteer run, then that means there's nobody working at this full time, right? And so it takes a lot longer to put those bricks together, but it is coming together brick by brick. We are going to build Rome, is what we say. Rome wasn't built in a day. And so we also try to practice what we preach here, and really put our children first as their needs arise. And of course, the goal is that eventually they're able to meet their own needs. But as you know, you and I both have an adult child who still has needs, and so we got to dedicate whatever time they need, also, even as adults. So.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of the principles that we teach here at Mamavate, and since you'll be our relationships council mom, you'll become kind of the expert on these principles. You'll be so familiar with them that you'll be able to determine if a resource meets these principles, aligns with these principles. Principles are like statements of truth that that we can use as filters, because there are so many like experts, so to speak. Pretty much anybody can just put up a website and claim they're an expert, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're putting out sometimes conflicting advice. And so what these principles do is help us figure that all out and determine which pieces of advice are valuable for our lives and our situation. So now one of those is the concept of contact, that in order to have a relationship with someone, we have to have some kind of contact with them. So spending time with them, talking to, listening to, interacting. These are like investments that increase the quality of the relationship. How would you say, based on experience, that the relationship contact principle applies to the village?
Oh my goodness. I think that that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have contact, and your village is there, or our village, however you look at it, to support. And supporting is a huge part of contact, whether it be just a phone call,
Yes.
or in person. And as we're building our village, that is something that's very important. How often do I see this person?
Mm-hmm. Or yeah, how often do I reach out?
Right. Yeah. Or do they reach out to me?
Mm-hmm.
What does that relationship look like? Is it equal? Is it like you mentioned, therapists or psychologists? Those are people that maybe I see monthly, or I see weekly, or whatever the case may be, but that contact with them is very, very valuable.
And being able to kind of register how they interact. I'm thinking in terms of maybe coaches for our kids who are athletic, being able to watch and see, now, is this coach an uplifting person? Or, coaches kind of have to be demanding in some ways, but is it in a way that still respects my child's dignity, things like that. You kind of have to be looking for positive influences on our
Mhm.
kids.
100%. Yeah. We are very involved in jujitsu,
Oh, neat.
and our gym here, our owner of our gym is a really good friend of ours, and he has a lot of the same values and a lot of the same beliefs. And yeah, so my little guy kind of has grown up in the gym for that reason. And so yeah, totally, all of those different, how much time does my child spend with this person? Because maybe a coach, I know when he played football, he had practices 5 days a week and then a game.
Right.
He was spending almost sometimes as much time as I was spending with him,
Right.
because of school and everything.
Yes, and those influences we need to be aware of, and not necessarily um telling our child, like, let's say there was a coach who was being really forceful or not respecting the dignity of our children. We can be aware, let our children make choices about whether they want to continue that relationship. And if they do decide, well, I love football, I can handle the bad coach, they could be taught by us, how to manage those kinds of situations, how to think it through and process it in a way that it's not as damaging as it could be if they didn't have us as their moms cheering them on in the midst of that.
Absolutely. That is, I mean, those are life lessons that if we handle it in the proper way, I mean, look at the life lesson that they're learning for later, who knows, in the workforce or, a friendship or, yeah, I think that's so, so important.
I agree. And being able to give them that long-term perspective, and it kind of goes back to the golden rule in a lot of ways that we say, if you don't like how that coach is treating you, make sure that you never treat someone else that way, and kind of embedding that thought process in their heads.
Mm,
Or the opposite proves true, right?
mhm.
Oh, that coach is so great and he treats you so wonderfully and he builds you up, and you can be like that too. You can become that kind of person.
Mhm. I love that that's one of your golden rules, because that's actually our family's golden rule,
Yeah,
is to treat others the way that we treat them.
that's great.
Mhm.
Another thing that we talk about is trust. And trust is interesting because we need trust for ourselves. We need to be able to trust our own ability to discern things. But also we need to be able to trust the other people that we are having in the village that we have with our children, that they will contribute in responsible ways to our children's growth and well-being. Um,
Mhm.
how would you say, in your experience, that trust has played a part as you have built this village with your sons?
Oh, trust is huge. And the first one that you mentioned, about ourselves and being able to listen to our intuition, and those God-given little nudges, you might say, that
Right.
and trusting. That's something that part of my thing is to help moms to understand that we all have that, and to help them to listen and trust. Um, and then absolutely, as you're bringing people in, you're trusting them with your most valuable, I don't want to say possession because that's not the right word, but your most valuable
Love bug.
person, kid,
Yes.
yeah, exactly, Prince. And, and having faith that they will value that trust that you're giving them as much as you would in return. I
Yeah.
think that that's huge. I'm blessed enough that, having my 25-year-old, it's and the world is a little bit different now than it was. And I have a younger one, that he's still young enough that you go to appointments with him and you do those things. So
Yeah.
as he gets older, we'll see how that, that trust continues to build.
Yes. And so he's having to discern those things little by little. And your older one is on his own in some ways of figuring out those trust levels.
Yes.
Hopefully he's I think our kids learn a lot from our examples, right? And not conscientiously. Like, I really don't think they look at us and go, and now the lesson that I have learned from watching my mom, right? Like, it's very subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a lot to do with how they will act in the years to come, how they will determine who to trust and how and things like that, and trusting themselves as well.
Absolutely. My older one will call me sometimes, and because I have this, I guess, this trust about me where wherever we're at, people will confide. And he'll call me and be like, Mom, I got that thing. I was just trying to buy bread.
But he notices that somebody sees him and finds him to be trustworthy and will
Exactly.
open up to him, huh?
The first time he did it, I was like, what are you talking about? It made me then look, because that's the other thing, is they mirror those things for you.
That's true. And that's I think that brings up an interesting aspect that we haven't touched on yet with regards to trust, that it's sometimes a matter of other people finding us to be trustworthy. Like you mentioned, they might just sense something about you that says, I can confide in you. I can speak with you and listen to, and you'll listen and won't be judgmental, or that maybe you'll have useful insights, tidbits to tell me, whatever it
Mhm.
is. But it's trust coming towards us as well as trust going out from us.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to, when you flip it and look at it that way. And that's actually what I did with him was, wow, imagine what you're putting out in the world is what you want to receive. And he
I
was like,
like that.
oh, and I'm like, and it
Deep
only takes you
conversation.
right? I'm like, and it only takes you a minute to listen to somebody, you know, and you might make that change. You might make them feel a little bit better, or, without even really having to do anything.
Right. That's beautiful. And that actually is a segue. Then we talk a little bit about reflection and growth with our principles. The idea that we need to be self-aware. We need to be able to look at ourselves from the outside in, and acknowledge both our positive traits as well as any behaviors that might need to be adjusted, right?
Mhm.
To make our relationships stronger and more fruitful for everyone involved. And so it's a matter of kind of assessing and then committing to improving.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if you've seen that at all with in your own mothering or with other people in the village, any of that kind of reflection and growth.
Oh my goodness, yes. I was an only child. Well, growing up, I was an only child. And so when I had my older boy, I parented the way that I babysat, the way that I learned. And I was, I mean, obviously we're not the perfect parent, right? But everything turned out good. And then when the little prince came, I learned how different people can be.
Wow.
That parenting style was not going to work with him. For example, my older one is very black and white. Do not touch this. I don't, sometimes I'd give him a reason, but sometimes I just say don't. Well, the little prince, I always say he's gray and purple and all the other colors, and he not only does he want to touch what I told him not to touch, but he's then going to move it around and see why not and what's going to happen, And so I had to learn a whole new parenting style and almost, constantly reflecting
Right.
that, okay, so he's responding good to this works. And I feel like, I mean, you have 8, I only have 2, but I feel like because they're so different,
Yes, I
every
have
one of
had to
them,
learn 8 different parenting styles.
I don't know how you did that because
I'm still learning, to tell the truth. I am still learning.
and it's constant learning probably
Yes.
as they grow older, because I mean, even with him, it's still, I'm like, "Ooh, okay, that worked last week, you know,
Right. Right.
um, and reflecting and growing uh, in them and how they respond to what you're doing and how you're handling things. I think it's to me, it's fascinating. Like I can sit and read about neurological and how things work with kids and why, and just dig in. I was, oh my goodness, with his therapist and his psychologist, they ended up mentoring me because I was kind of a self-help junkie and wanted to jump in and find out.
Right.
And so I really love the reflection and the growth and being able to see the little tweaks of things that you can change and get the different result that you want.
That's awesome. And I think that proactiveness that you mentioned, as far as being the self-help junkie and getting the mentorship of the people in your village, I think that's one of the powerful things of having a village, is how much we can learn in those situations from other people who are also invested in our children. Now, what if a mom really doesn't have a village, so to speak? What if she really we don't really like the term stay at home mom here at Mom of 8. We even if a woman has chosen motherhood as a career, we encourage her to use the term full-time mom, because there's just something subliminally wrong about saying stay at home mom, right? Like it sounds like a sentence, jail sentence. And so being that we want to get her unstuck out of the home, her village could still be based in her home, of course, but how can she create that village that of help for her child or help for herself?
Oh my goodness. There's so many different ways that you can go about creating and researching and resources. And that's actually why I'm building my membership.
Great.
Because I want to have those resources at the fingertips, because a lot of times I learned that when we need them, we don't have time to find them.
Oh, so having found them first is ideal. And then when the need arises, it's there already.
Yeah. Or, you can always, online, we can build our village that way. You can reach out to your local different resources and connect. Whether it be a play group, whether it be, there's always ways. Sometimes we just have to be creative.
I recently learned about an app called Peanut. So peanut as in what we eat in peanut butter. So this app is meant for helping moms find moms. You put in your zip code and it helps you find fellow moms. So that's one way as far as finding other moms for your village. But then again, reaching out to babysitters, coaches, youth group leaders, if you're part of a faith community and things like that. Of course, here at Mom of 8, we encourage moms to build a mom pod. And that's, again, kind of the preventive concept of build this first before you need it. And it's a 34-page packet that we give out for free if you'll sign up for our Momunity. And eventually we want to invite moms to join our Momunity and be able to attend Smile gatherings. This isn't a program that has launched yet, but it's on the way. And those Smile gatherings will be a chance for moms to find the acronym of support. So that's of smile, support, music, inspiration, laughter, and education. Now, you can find Michelle on Facebook and join this village that she's created for you as the mom to moms. I think, Michelle, you mentioned it's called Moms Nurturing Moms.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yes, Moms Nurturing Moms.
And she also has a free offer for you called 11 Strategies to Empower Your Kiddos to Make the Right Choices. And we'll send that link out on our next email. As we have been hearing such good info with you here, Michelle, I want to encourage you, our audience, to take a moment right now to write down some key points that stuck out to you personally. Use the digital Smile Journal or just a notebook. And we want to remember what we've learned from this conversation and put it into practice to have impact in our lives. Writing it down is like that first gear that leads to the other movements. So let's activate those gears by writing it down and make those far-reaching positive changes. Okay, this half hour has gone by so fast. Do you have any last few minutes of inspiration that you'd like to say before we turn off the recording?
I think the biggest thing that I really like to tell moms is that no matter how you became your child's mom, whether it be adoption, whether it be natural, whatever that case may be, you are meant to be that mom, that child's mom. And if you
That's
could,
beautiful. I think stepmoms too need to remember that that was an unusual way to become the mother to those children.
absolutely, you're meant to be their mom, and just trust yourself and reach out to the resources that you have, because you know what your kids need.
I love that. And the kids, the kids need that. You need that as the mom. So being able to reach out and say, hey, let's be the village that it takes to raise this child.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely, wonderful. Well, it's time to end this recording and start our live interaction with our viewers. If you watched this as a recording, thank you for watching, and be sure to catch our live show every Saturday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, so you can participate in the second half hour where we continue the conversation with you directly, unrecorded. We want to include you in the discussion. That's how Win-Win Women TV is unique. We care, we connect, we collaborate.